Hello, City Skylines fans. I'm Sockswayup, and welcome back to another episode of Newman Shores. In today's episode, we finally figure out how to make our airport profitable, as well as adding a university and expanding the city. There's a lot in this episode. We jam-pack it in. I'm really digging where the city's going so far. I hope you are too. Thanks for everyone who's joining in. Let's get right on into it. First off, we're going to start adding in a road that's going to lead to a little turnout here that's going to be for our new airline. Newman Shores is getting its own airline, and that is where we learn about the profitability of airports. I was a little confused, as I've said early on in the series. Everything you're seeing recorded, everything that we're doing here is my first playthrough of the DLC. So as I was learning it, as I was recording, I was pleasantly surprised to see that we are now able to make a profit. As you can see, projected income. We can adjust the ticket prices of the airfares, which in turn decreases the attractiveness of the airport, which is okay because we're already at a level 3. I'm not really sure if that draws in more people. Maybe it does, but we'll revisit that in a few episodes. We'll make our airport more attractive, adding the cargo airplanes as well. But you can see we just watched our first flight. We're starting to make some money. Now we're going to jump right into our campus area. We're going to start with a new school here. We're going to build it out. I'm not really sure if we're going to focus on leveling up to level 5. Really, the main reason why I wanted to add this was to be able to do some of these office buildings in this new downtown area that we're going to do. So we want some highly educated individuals into the town so that we can balance out the workers between the farm industry and our office complexes that we're going to be building here next. Something that I always do in these cities, I like to balance it out, not have too much highly educated individuals, but have a little bit of mixture of both, so we won't really focus on getting everybody into that university. And you can see here we're starting to build this little downtown strip with our high density. We're finally using high density. Episode 5, maybe that's kind of quick. I don't know. Other seasons is taking a little bit longer, but we're into it already. We're moving a little faster in this series, and I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you are too. But you can see here we are doing a little mixture of commercial and office. It's going to take a little bit of time for those office buildings to come in because the demand's going to get taken care of pretty quickly because of how many people fit into these office buildings. Later on, we'll take care of that demand by adding a new neighborhood, the checks and balances of City Skylines. So like the dummy that I am, I forgot to hit record. We're adding Metro into the city, into the airport. So we're gonna show where I remembered to start recording. Sockswayup's a big dummy. So what we do here, and I do in every city, is I like to add a line going both directions. One clockwise, one anti or counterclockwise, depending on where you're from. And you can see here the game saves, so it kind of messes up a little bit. Gotta love those autosaves. But you can see it is a nice loop where we have 4 stops in busy areas of the city. We added one in the farm area, one in the airport, one in the new downtown, and one in our original industry area. That should help. We also have buses that will be able to get everyone to the metro and start getting mass transit really pumping in this city. I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna help out a ton. So that's what we did there. This next segment here, we're just kind of detailing up the downtown area. There's some areas that I did not zone with buildings because I wanted to be able to add some trees into it, make it look pretty, add some detail, add some character really to Newman Shore, not just have a bunch of buildings jam-packed on top of each other. If you've been around this channel for a while, you know that I like small towns. I'm not a big fan of the downtown area, at least it doesn't seem to be the style of towns that I like building. So I do add a little bit of a twist to mine that I think makes it kind of unique. Like I said, we don't jam-pack buildings on top of each other. We like to give them space to breathe, to add a little bit of this character to it with trees and maybe some paths as you see there as well. It seems like the citizens of City Skylines really like paths. They like to walk to and from work. So giving them paths is never a bad thing. And for this section of the city, we're gonna kind of break away from the way I normally build. I do a lot of grids with some terrain or some matching the highways or matching the terrain of roads. Here we're gonna change it up a little bit, but first we wanna get another main road going near this highway. So what we're doing is we're grabbing the roads, we're pulling them off the same distance. We're using these dirt roads as kind of a guide to begin with. And then we're just everywhere where we feel like we can connect a nice angle, we're gonna make a straight road at 90 degrees off of the highway. And then we're gonna pull it on over with the curve road. You can see it's lining up really nice. Here it doesn't line up great. So we go ahead and delete all of those guideline roads, I guess. And then we add another curved road here using the road guidelines to help us out. I think it turns out amazing. Then we upgrade the road to the size that we want, because like I said, it's gonna be kind of a main road in this area. Then we move on to the neighborhood that we're gonna build. And this is where I really break away from the style that I build and the grid style that we usually go with. Let me know what you think. This is one of the neighborhoods, or one of the first times I've really done this in a neighborhood in a long time. I really like the way it turned out. I like the way that we built a main road structure outside of it and then kind of went, you know, creative in the inside with making sure that the roads, or making sure that each of the houses, oh, another school year ended, making sure all the houses were able to be zoned with different size lots this time instead of it always being the same. It really makes for a nice change, and I was using dirt roads because I wasn't sure I was gonna like it at first. So I kept chugging along, doing that same little trick with the distance from the highway here, and finishing out this road design. It came out great. Like I said, I was hesitant that I was gonna like it, and that's why I did dirt roads to begin with. But then once I got done with it, once we upgrade it to actually asphalt roads or paved roads, it looks sweet, it looks great. Later on in the video, we'll show you exactly how it turns out, but you can see here we're finishing out this little road design and having kind of two sections of the neighborhood there. As you see, we're gonna give it its own schools, its own healthcare, its own police and fire stations, give it all the services it needs in this little strip, kind of tiny little stretch of a neighborhood that is a little smaller than I'm used to, but I have some plans for other things outside this area later on in the series. You can see here we're going to zone it up. It's going to take a little while for the game to kind of play through and get it all built, but we'll show you the end product later on. Those of you that know my videos pretty well know that I like to make somewhat apartment complex looking things. So since we're playing mostly vanilla here, it's a little harder for me to do exactly what I like to do without being able to place the exact buildings that I want, exactly where I want. So here we just kind of build a cutout, a small area right off the main road where we can put some high density to kind of use our imagination and think that this is an apartment complex. That's what I was going for. We're leaving a little bit of gaps in between the buildings to allow us to add some parking lots, the custom assets that we are using, that we listed in the description of the last video. You can see the collection in the workshop if you wanted to check it out as well. Next video, we're gonna add a little more mods. I've convinced myself of, a way to add into it. By the end of the series, this will probably be a fully modded series and kind of build a Sockswayup collection on Steam while we're doing it, which I always wanted to do, so I'm glad we're doing that here. And then on to my favorite thing to do while I'm waiting for the zones to populate and for the game to catch up with demands. I like to detail. I like to add some trees, I like to add some bushes, some shrubs, some paths, so that's what we're doing here. You can see I didn't really show exactly what we did with this neighborhood when we zoned it, but we did do the self-sufficient zoning so that the buildings come out with the solar panel type things, and I believe they use less electricity and less trash because they're self-sufficient. Very cool, but the main reason why I like them is it makes for a different zone, a different look, a building theme. Since we don't have building themes and we aren't really using a lot of custom assets, this is a good way to get around it. This is a vanilla way to get around having different areas in your town look different or your city look different, and I love doing that every single time I make a somewhat vanilla series like this. One of the other things you can see we're starting to do is kind of cluster some trees together. I mentioned early on as I was detailing, I didn't want to overdo the trees like I have done in the previous series that I've made. I wanted to kind of space them out, make them maybe just not take up as many resources in the game to keep the game running efficiently, but also I think the look is nice. It looks like they were intentionally placed there or left there like they were there naturally to begin with, and they just purposely left certain trees in certain areas or planted them. Use your imagination. Either way, probably different based on the area of the land of the city here. You can see we're just going to keep plugging away at that, adding in some details inside the neighborhood. One of the things with not making a grid is you get some of this open space that you can then detail. Hey, small city, that's a nice upgrade. Really wanting to get to that 18,000 so we can get another tile. But anyways, we move on to some more detailing. Here in the little apartment complex, I decided to add another row of houses. And I use one of the tricks that I always do in vanilla to take control of the zoning. I had a little bike path here. And what that'll do is it'll move the zoning away from our main road, as you see, into this interior road where we're zoning for high density, making sure the buildings face inward instead of traffic being on the main road. That's one of the workarounds that I do without having to have, or without the ability of having like a zone toolkit mod. And then we add a little bit of policies to our college to see if we can get more students in so we can get to level 2. We do get to that in this video, but I did not show anything of it. We'll work on that later. So back to detailing. We're still waiting for things to come in. We got all of our high density taken care of for this session at least. Got a good downtown started. I added some services there as well so that we can get them to upgrade all the way to level 3 for those buildings. That way we can get them as tall as possible in that area. Like I mentioned in the last video, I believe those buildings are far enough away from the runway where it is realistic to our city. It's what we decided to zone. So I think it fits. I think it's fine. And you can see here, there's our pretty campus. It's coming together nice. I'm loving the way it's turning out. I don't know how much more I'll expand it, as we talked about early on. And next year, we're gonna do a flyover of our new neighborhood, our self-sufficient homes with the detailed trees. And those purple trees, I just love them. They turn out sweet, they turn out gorgeous. You can see the design of this road layout, the curves in the road make a huge difference. A big change for me and my channel and the way I build cities. I'm gonna keep trying to do this a lot. Add some more pathing. It could probably use a little bit more pedestrian paths, so we'll work on that as well coming up. But I just love zooming in. I had to do a cinematic like this, kind of showing the traffic inside the town or inside the new neighborhood. It looks great. I love the way these houses look. They turned out amazing. This has been a fun episode. We're starting to expand. We're starting to move a little bit faster. I got a lot of things planned for it. We're gonna start adding in a little bit of mods moving forward and kind of show you how we can improve things in a vanilla city and really the beauty of those mods in Cities Skylines. But those of you following along that don't have mods, maybe play on console or don't have a PC that's strong enough to, or powerful enough to use mods, we're gonna keep it as vanilla as possible. We're just gonna show some of the tricks and benefits of those mods and then move on later on in the city and stop using them. Just kind of an idea I had to kind of make this city fit for both worlds of vanilla Cities Skylines as well as modded Cities Skylines. And I want to thank everybody who's been checking out these videos. We're getting really close to 1,000 subs, which was a goal of mine by the end of the month, and it looks like we're going to hit it pretty early on in February or around mid-February. It's amazing. It's huge. I'm so excited. Again, thanks for checking out the videos. Thanks for subbing. If you haven't already, smash that like button, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Newman Shore.